Release the Kraken!
Welcome back, fellow game designers. Ron here at Lame Duck Studios. In this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and get all of our paint layers out of Mudbox. So we're going to transfer the model as well as the paint. Now in the previous one, we went ahead and did these eyes. If you haven't done that yet, check out the previous video. But for now, let's go ahead and jump into Mudbox. Here's our model. I'm going to come over to my layers, grab my objects list, and I do want to name these. I'm going to rename Lambert 1 to Elf material. I think I was going to do that earlier and I never did. Okay, go ahead and select your pieces. So we have eyes already, so I'm not going to send those. I'm just going to select the hood, the body, and the hair. Now you can select multiple things by holding down Control or Shift. So Control click lets you select individually, Shift click kind of grabs it as a group. So the hoodie, the hair, and the body. I'm going to come up to File, and I'm going to go down to Send to Maya. Now we can update the current scene. When you do this for the first time, it's going to ask you to export your paint layers. So to not get you confused, we're going to do that separately. I'm going to come down to Preferences and choose Do Not Send Paint Layers. We'll just say that and then hit OK. This way it won't prompt you. We'll say Send to Mudbox or Send to Maya, Update Current Scene. Now this is where it's really important. It's going to ask you, do you want to send the base mesh or do you want to send the model that we've been working on? And you got to remember that the model we've been sculpting on has millions of polygons. And if we send it over to Maya, it's going to have a hard time. And if we try to bring it into Unreal, it's going to even have a harder time. So we don't want to do that. We want to send the base mesh. Okay, so make sure that we're sending the base mesh, the low res. Okay, send that. And boom, it updates. It does say something got lost in translation, but I think everything else is there. Hair's there, hoodie. Okay, so here is the updated mesh. You can see all the changes made in the model, except this is a low res, so nothing too extravagant. Now this does come over with some paint layers. So you can see if I select the body, we have the elf material. That was the one we renamed. The hair is the hair material. And the hood, which is way back there, is the hoodie material. Cool. Now let's go ahead and get our materials, or our textures, out of Mudbox. So with our pieces selected, and actually that's not really all that important. We can kind of click off. I'm going to go to File, Export All Paint Layers. And then in here, we want to go ahead and name a bunch of stuff. It wants to know the default file type. We should be using Targa. Then it wants to know your default path. Now, if you want to create a path, you're more than welcome to. There's a default one that goes to the data path. I created a separate path to go to the tutorials folder. Just hit the plus icon. It'll create one. So if you hit that, it'll make a new one. Let's go ahead and give it a name. And then for the output file, if you hit the folder, you can navigate to where you want these to go. So I'm going to put mine in the Game Design Tutorials folder. You can see I already have it set here. I'm going to choose the directory, so just choose. These you can leave as they are. This is a code to kind of grab the layer names, so we'll just ignore that. Down here, for my material, you can see we have the elf material. If I hit the tab, I have the hair material and the hoodie. Okay. So for the elf material on the diffuse, oops, I'm going to name that elf body. So that's going to be the name of the actual file when it gets stored. These are all going to inherit from that. This is going to get compressed into a single layer. And then the hair material, same thing. I'll call that elf hair. And then for the hoodie, I'll do that as elf hood or elf hoodie, whatever you want to name it. Make sure your path is set to the one that you're going to use. So I'm using my Maya path 1, which is really my tutorial path. So I'm going to call this tutorial path. There we go. And then export. And it's going to ask me if I want to overwrite the ones that I made before. The answer is yes. You might not get that prompt. It's okay. And if I go to my tutorials folder, you can see the materials that I've made before. It's the elf body, hoodie, and that. This one I don't need. And the eye UVs are there. There's the eye texture, so on. So if I go back to Maya, I'm going to go ahead and select, I have the hoodie. Just go ahead and load in the hoodie file. Sometimes it'll do that. Oh well, I'm just going to load it in anyway. So I'm going to go select, I'm going to ignore the error and search for my hood. There it is. That looks right. Grab the body, same thing. Material attributes, get the elf material, go to the color, load in the file. Elf body. And there's that. And the hair. And there's that. So here's our elf in its low resolution glory. Okay. So there are a few other things we want to get at Mudbox as well, and this is really where the magic happens. So we're going to come over to Mudbox. I'm going to go up to Render, and come down to, oh sorry, not Render. Let's go up to UV Maps. Come down to Export Texture Maps. And you might think, well, we just did that. We exported all the paint layers. Well, true, but we're going to do something very specific here. I'm going to go to New Operation. I'm going to call this one normal, so normal map. I'm going to choose normal map from the list here. You can see you can transfer paint layers, you can get the ambient occlusion, you can do vector displacement, regular displacement, and a normal. I'm going to grab that normal map. It's going to ask you what you want to do. So it wants a target model. So this is going to be our current model. At what resolution? So go ahead and select the body here. And this is going to be, you could do add all or add selected. I'm just going to do, since our paint layers are on separate materials, I'm going to do this as a separate thing. So add body, I'll add selected. It wants to know what subdivision level. So my lowest is 0. You have an option where you're doing a normal if you want to use the smooth or the creases. I'm going to do creases for this time. We'll see what happens. And then for the source model, it wants to know what is the high resolution. So I'm going to go ahead and add selected. And you can see my highest level is 5. So my body's at 0. My highest body is 5. It wants to know if you want to smooth the source model. That's up to you. I'm going to do this by subdivision. It's going to change some things for me. Generate normal map for one or all targets. I'm going to do generate a map for each target. And then for my size, I'm going to do 2048 because that's the size of my texture. Anti-aliasing, it's a 2K texture, so I'm going to do 2K, or 2 times. And then it wants to know where we're going to put it out to. Maya and soft image is fine. Tangent space, I'm going to leave that as tangent for now. And then object output, it wants to know where this is going to go. It's going to be texture. File name, this is going to be elf body normal. I'm going to hit little dotted lines here. Make sure I drop this in the correct folder. So it's going to go here. Oh, whenever you hit the little dotted lines, it wants you to put the name here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So elf body, this is going to be normal. And one other thing, I do want this to be a target file, so I'm going to change my ending tag to .tga. And then export. Says it finished. I'll hit OK. Alright, let's go take a look. There is the normal map. Let's go into Maya. I'll select my elf. I'm going to come down to bump mapping. Open that up. Grab the file. I'm going to change this from bump to tangent space normals. And I'm going to follow this little arrow. Grab the folder. Grab my normal. And once we drop that on, voila, you can see our character looks like it's high res, but it really isn't. It's using the normal map to kind of push that detail out. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and do our hair. So I'll select the hair piece, UV and maps. I'm gonna do a new operation. I really should name these something better, so I'm gonna do hair normal. Choose my normal. Same process. Select the hair. I'm gonna add that hair at subdivision 0. And then I'm gonna add that to my source model. My highest on my hair, it looks like it's a level 4. I'm going to change it from raycasting to subdivision. You can try raycasting if you like. No harm there. Make my generated map a 2K texture, so 2048. Anti-aliasing 2 times. Tangent space, that's all good. Texture, and then the output file is going to be a target file. I'm going to grab the hair, so elf hair, I'm going to put normal at the end. Do an extract. Extraction finished. Close that down, I'll jump back into Maya. You select the hair piece. I'm going to go down to bump mapping. Hit the box. File. Change this to tangent normals. Hit the arrow. Folder. Grab the hair normal. Load it in. Hair today, gone tomorrow. And the last piece is going to be the hood. So I'm going to go back in. Grab the hoodie. Rinse and repeat. So UVs. Extract. New operation. I'll call that the hoodie. Normal. Grab the normal map. Add the selected. And then add that one. Raycasting, I'll do subdivision. Generate for 1. I don't think I hit that last time, but it's okay. And then 2048 and then 2x. Maya soft image. It's going to be a target file. Where is the hood? There's the hood. Normal. And extract. Jump back into Maya. Once again, I'll load that through my bump mapping channel. File. Change that to tangent space normals. Hit the arrow. Load the folder, or sorry, load the file. That's going to be the hood. There you go. So there is our elf loaded in with its fancy normal maps. Now there are some creases. Just kind of be aware of that. These are usually where the normals on the edge are not sharing, and we're going to actually fix that. And this is why we chose to put seams in places that made sense, like on the sleeves, on the back, on the inseams, just because that makes the most sense. Alright, with that, we will save here. In the next tutorial, we're going to start looking at how to set up the rigging and do some animation stuff. Alright, so I will see you in the next one. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. Misty and I both thank you. If you've enjoyed the video you just watched, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you have any comments or suggestions for future videos, make sure you leave them down in the comments. I upload new content every Sunday, and I release content every Wednesday. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, I do have a Patreon. Get content early. I also have official merch, Lame Duck Studio merch. It does exist. They do exist. So make sure you stick around for anything new, and I will see you next time.